Hey family, we are live, broadcasting live. This is the Conversation Room 101. Make sure it's only adults in the house. I need your mind to be open, prepared, and relaxed. Welcome to our home. Take your shoes off. We got some rules we need to go over. Be kind. No cursing in the chat. If you want to curse, call in. And no shouting out other channels. That's a no-no. We got one other rule. There is no judging our guests. It will not be permitted. Zero tolerance. And if so, you want to do that, guess what? We got security. And we will escort you out. Because over here, hashtag we don't care. We're going to be one big family. We're going to laugh together sometimes. We're going to cry. But we definitely going to pray. I thank the Lord above for everything. I lift him up and give him the glory. But you guys, right now, we're going to get our popcorn. And then we're going to see what's going on. And let me just park my car. And I'll be in there in a minute. I'll see you real soon.
The Copyright Disclaimer Act. The Copyright Disclaimer Act under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you, and I think you'll have to listen, because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day.
We won't stop.
Will
We
be
will
as bright
not
as the
stop.
sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so bright, it's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart, doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give, something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now
See this?
I
How you cannot go?
Baby, baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give, something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled
who
to
are
scour
you?
the area.
It's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you, and I think you'll have to listen, because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day.
We won't stop.
Will
We
be
will
as bright
not
as the
stop.
sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so bright, it's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart, doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give, something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now
See this?
I
How you cannot go?
Baby, baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give, something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled
who
to
are
scour
you?
the area.
It's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Hey family, how's everybody doing? I'm glad you guys came in. For some reason, it shut down. And I'm sorry about that, you guys. I've got no control of what goes on YouTube. They do what they do. And sometimes things don't work out the way we want them to. I want to give a shout out to everybody that came in the building. Freddie Johnson then came in here first. Lisa Taylor's in the building. We got Zena in the building. How you guys doing? Those are the mods. We got Shauna in the building. Hey, Shauna, what's going on? I see you in the house. Um, you guys, we're still talking about the proceedings of Jarvis Butts court and what actually happened, what was said. I found a clip that the volume is a little bit more louder, and so I was surprised. I just found it. I was surprised. I was like, shoot, let's listen to it. Let's listen to it together where we can hear and not, like I've been trying to, hear it where I can hear exactly what was said. I mean, I can hear it, but it's good to hear it when you're not straining your ears to hear and it's louder so that you can hear it. And I'm just going to be honest with you, school down here where I'm at starts tomorrow for the youngins. My grandson, he'll go to school tomorrow. It'll be his first day in school. Some schools started last week. Some school starts next week. But his school starts tomorrow. And I mean, it came up so fast. It was just crazy. When you don't have kids to go to school, you lose time. I don't know. Next thing I know, my son was like, Pooh Bear starts school Thursday. And I'm like, what? And I normally order his clothes and they come in. So, you know what we had to do? We had to rush out today and get school clothes. My daughter bought his school supplies and everything. And so we're getting him ready for school. And that's what we do, where it won't be hard on one person or his mom or his dad, because they're going to be dealing with school all year long. Making sure he gets to school, making sure, he's okay or whatever. But anyway, so, we rush out to Burlington Coat Factory and we got some clothes and then, he picked out some shoes he liked some Sonic shoes. And I know his dad's not going to like that. So I'm like, okay, well, we're going to get you some shoes that you like. And then we're going to go get the shoes that your dad wants you to have, which his dad likes him to either have Nike or Jordans. And he does do well with Jordans. So while we were out, you guys, picking up school clothes, Naziah came across my mind. You guys know she did. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is 2025. She's not going to be going to school this year. She should be going to school. I told you guys, some of these cases they become personal to me. And I started feeling sad because this is a young child that she will not be going to a junior high this year. Prime time. That's the prime time of a child's life, is when they become, she's 13. She'll be 14. She'll be 14. Anyway, or she'll be turning 15. And even though I was picking up Pooh Bear's clothing, making sure he had the right shoes and he got the socks and he got the underwear and the t-shirts and, everything that he needs, this other child is on my mind. No other child is on my mind but Naziah. You know, and yeah, I was feeling a little sad about the whole situation. You know, because here I am, or I could say us or we. We continue with life with our kids and our grandkids. We continue. But for this child, there's no school that's waiting to greet her, and no one's buying her school clothes, school supplies, because there's no one to buy them for. We don't know where she's at. We don't know what happened to her. We really don't know what happened to her. We don't know, some people say she's still alive. I beg to differ, but I still keep hope that she is somewhere. I doubt it, but I wish and pray that that was true. As bad as I want it to be true, I just keep it on the table. Because anything is possible. But anyway, so out buying, making sure that kids are ready for school tomorrow and next week or whatever. Keep her in your mind, you guys, because, like, you're blessed, So some people be like, I don't know. We complain about life and we complain about what we're going through. And yes, we do have problems with bills coming in, and you got $2 and a bill come in and it's for $12, and it's like, oh my God, Yeah, I get it. It's always stress, it's always something, it's always a bill, it's always something. But for some people, like Naziah, everything has stopped. But anyway, just thinking about her made me come straight home and want to hear the proceeding. And thank God that I found the proceeding where you guys can hear it a little louder than when we heard it when it first was going on August the 4th. So I'm going to play that and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen really good because it is now where I can hear it. And so you guys can hear what I heard without going, I ain't SP, we can't hear it. Can you turn it up? No, I can't turn it up because for some reason it was as low as it could be. But keep Naziah on your mind and we'll listen to it. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone. We're calling cases 24002, 236, 24006, 232, 250000218, and lastly 250000241. These are all in the matters of People versus Jarvis Butts. I apologize, I believe I missed one. There's also file 2500447. Can I have appearances? I'll start with the constable.
Good morning, Your Honor. Gina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Your Honor. Matthew Makepeace also on behalf of the people, P82796.
Defense.
Good morning, Your Honor. Legal Defender Service by Cheryl Quick, P83973 on behalf of Jarvis Butts, together with co-counsel Ken Riggins and Lauren Butler.
And
good morning, Your Honor. Good morning to your staff, Neighborhood Defender Services, Black Henry, P82125. On behalf of Mr. Jarvis Butts.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lori Butler, P88126, also Neighborhood Defender Service on behalf of Mr. Butts.
Thank you. Mr. Butts is also joining us in court. Mr. Butts, your name is Jarvis Butts.
Okay, so her name is Lori Butler.
Right, attorney, thank you for your patience this morning. We had a relatively short chambers conversation about these cases this morning. And just to briefly summarize the facts, you intend to raise an issue with regard to some outstanding discovery on the case ending in 1H as the homicide charge. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
All right. It's also my understanding that there are two motions to quash filed today. The parties, the people submitted a written response to those motions to quash. I've had an opportunity to review them. Parties are ready to argue those motions today, correct? We are, Your Honor. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, let's start with the file of Mr. Butts' series of arraigned on. That being the file ending 4478. How does the case proceed?
Mr. Butts would waive the formal reading of the information. He stands guilty. We ask the court to enter a plea not guilty to that.
Thank you. A plea not guilty will be entered on his behalf. Testified that at the time of the incident, she was 4 years old. At the time of the hearing, she was 13. So there hadn't been a substantial passage of time. Your Honor, her testimony was she was home with Mr. Butts and Mr. Butts' girlfriend. At some point, the girlfriend left the bedroom. Mr. Butts was in the bedroom. She was on the couch. Mr. Butts summoned her to the bedroom, at which point she was ordered to take off her clothes. Her testimony was she took off all her clothes except her underwear. She took off her clothes, then Mr. Butts touched her. I believe the order of touching her was he touched the top of her thigh, then he touched under her breast, and then she said he touched her where she peed. Okay. That was the sole testimony of this witness. At the end of the proofs, prosecution moved to bind over on an original count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree and added a count of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree because of the statement of the complainant witness. Your Honor, I believe that is an abuse of discretion. The only thing that we have on the record is she said she touched where she used the restroom. And the only clarification we had was she said this is where she peed or she urinates from. Excuse me, those were her words. From that, we had the prosecution postulating that meant that there was some penetration, except there was no penetration mentioned. There was no penetration discussed. We know from case law, for a CSE 1 to happen, there has to be some form of penetration, even the slightest. Case law also tells us if she testified that he were to force her underwear inside of her, that would be sufficient for penetration. Yeah, we don't have any of that. We never had conversation, we never have any testimony about her panties being pulled aside. We never had any testimony about her panties being forced in her. We never had any testimony about anyone penetrating her. Now, that is, given the fact that she was 4 years old at the time this happened, granted, but at the time of the hearing, she was 13. Surely she could testify. I believe she was asked on the record that she remembered the events, and she said she remembered the events. None of that was testified. I think to say that there was sufficient evidence on the record that says that there was a penetration for the purpose of the CS1 is an abuse of discretion, and we believe that should be dismissed.
Thank you. And counsel, your respective motions, they're similar in nature in that you're arguing the issue of whether or not there's sufficient evidence on the issue of penetration on both your motions, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you want to, why don't we have them argue this on the second matter, and then we'll hear one response from the people, if you're okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so this has been with regard to the case ending in 24101, and sorry. Okay, and this is Lauren Butler, P88126 again. So first, to overview the facts from that case, I want to emphasize that this is only with regard to one of the two instances described. The complainant described two instances, but only one of them has been charged as first degree, and I am only arguing with regard to that and that particular charge. So at the preliminary exam for that instance that was described, the testimony included wearing panties. So again, that is similar. She never described those being removed. She did not describe any instances of penetration and only described light touching while wearing panties. The prosecution had the burden at the exam of establishing evidence of every element that included penetration. And again, the case law is clear on this. In particular, the case I cited in my motion, People v. McNeese, while that is unpublished, is particularly relevant because it highlights this distinction where it needs to be more than just, it uses very similar language to that used in the exam here with this emphasis on touching the vagina, rubbing the vagina. That's not enough for penetration. And there was even a specified testimony about under the underwear and over. And yet, even with that fact, the court still held that this was not penetration. And that's similar to what we have here, this description of some degree of touching of that area, that alone is not penetration. It also relies on published case law, People v. Payne, rubbing one hand, where it concludes that rubbing one hand over another vaginal area does not qualify as penetration. And I'd also like to address the response from the prosecution to this motion, because the argument they're making was not reflected in the preliminary exam testimony. Specifically, there was no testimony about inside the vagina. So while they're now arguing that that is possible, it's not the testimony we heard. We didn't hear this contrasting of the labia and the vagina. And this diagram that is now referenced in the motion was not used in the exam. So in conclusion, the prosecution did not meet the probable cause standard for first-degree criminal sexual conduct because there was no evidence of penetration, and bind over was not proper, specifically as to that charge.
Thank you. All right, who's going to take me?
So their whole argument that the defense is saying since she had her on panties and she didn't say he took off her panties and rubbing on top of the panties doesn't mean that there's penetration, and saying that to charge him with these charges is like not the thing to do because she had her panties on and the prosecution didn't establish that he went inside the panties. You guys get that, right? So that is the argument, that the motion that they had put in, that just because the girl, the now 13-year-old, that when she was 4, these things happened. You guys heard exactly what the little girl said. She said she was 4 years old. Freddie said that doesn't matter. Okay. We're going to continue to listen and hear what the prosecutors say about what was established and what was not.
That's me, Judge.
All right, very good.
So I'll start with the first argument made by Mr. Riggins, the complaining witness there, whoever survived officials, PB. She testified specifically that he touched my private part where I use the bathroom with. When asked what comes out, she stated urine. I then asked, tell me about what part of him touches you there. She states his hand. And what does he do what does his hand do when he touches you there? She states he rubs my private part with his hands. I then clarified, is this on the top part of that? And she interjected, said the bottom. And I said, would that be where the pee comes out? She says, I clarified, he said yes. So in summary, she testifies she's rubbing the bottom part of her private part where the pee comes out. Your Honor, in a motion to quash the highest deference to the reviewing magistrate, in this case, it requires an abuse of discretion, which is most deference to the district court. Penetration requires any sort of intrusion, however slight. And we use the term genital opening rather than vagina, so that penetration of the labia majora is sufficient to establish penetration or criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. Here, the complaining witness testified that the defendant rubbed her on her bottom part where the pee comes out. When we think about basic anatomy, we know that pee or urine for women comes through the urethral opening. There's a lot of, biological anatomy down there, but we know that the urethral opening is an internal structure that's beyond both the labia majora and the labia minora. So when this complaining witness testifies that he rubbed her bottom part where the pee comes out, she's referring to an internal structure, thereby penetration. The examining magistrate also found that it's in her ruling that for a woman to urinate, it's not on the outside of her labia. That's internal. That would be beyond that. And so she found that it was a question of fact. I don't believe that there's any abuse of discretion by that. And I believe that there's satisfactory testimony, at least to a probable cause standard, for that count. And do you want me to go on to the next one?
Okay, so the prosecution did come up with a good analogy, which was pee comes out, the little girl said, he rubbed me where the pee comes out. Well, the pee comes out the urethra. So what the prosecution says, the urethra is not on the outside of the vagina structure. It's on the inside. So if she said he rubs me where the pee comes out, it can't be on the outside of the panties and outside of the vagina. It has to be on the inside because the urethra is on the inside of the lips, which she explained very clearly.
In the second case, extremely similar. This one is specifically, this complaining witness starts off by saying, how somebody would play with you in your sleep, like you would feel them in your ear, like this or something. We don't have what she was demonstrating, but she's playing with her ear. He was doing that to my vagina when I woke up and I was crying. I stated, all right, when you wake up to feeling something? She said, yes. I asked, where do you feel something at? She says, at my vagina. I said, what do you feel at your vagina? And I feel like somebody's playing with me. Like, I don't know, like somebody's trying to touch you but not wake you up while he's touching you. And I said, what part of him is touching you? She said, he's using his hands. She later confronted the defendant about it. He's asked her why I was acting so weird towards him. She said, you don't remember what you did to me? The defendant looked me dead in the face and said, I don't remember doing that, but if I did do it, then I'm sorry. Again, the reviewing standard is abuse of discretion. And here, similarly, she testified that she felt the defendant at her vagina, that she felt the defendant playing with her, using his hands at her vagina. It's more than just mere contact, mere brushing against the vagina, or just merely touching vagina. She's testifying to penetration. She did not state that she felt his hand on or over her vagina, but rather at her vagina. Again, when we look at basic anatomy, Judge, the vaginal opening is beyond both beyond or inside both the labia majora and the labia minora. And so because sexual penetration is defined as the labia majora and beyond, the vaginal opening is beyond both the labia majora and minora. And so by stating that she felt the defendant's hands at her vagina playing with her, she testified to penetration. And I believe that there is satisfactory testimony on the record to satisfy that to the probable cause standard, which is, again, probable cause standard is the lowest standard, and abuse of discretion is the highest deference to the examining magistrate. And I believe that they both create questions of fact.
Thank you. Your Honor, in all seriousness, we're giving far more biology of the human anatomy that hasn't put on the record at the preliminary examination. All we had at the preliminary examination, they were touched at the area. We have young ladies who, although at the time this happened, may have been too young to describe the actual part. At the time of the preliminary examination, surely they could have said, he touched me on the inside. He forced my panties aside. He touched me on the inside. And in either case, was that testimony ascertained, that testimony was given, that question was asked by either people. So here, all we have is hyperbole. This is what the complaining witnesses must have meant when they said that. Yeah, I think that is a far reach, and I think surely that is an abuse of discretion to just simply say they must have meant there was internal penetration. That is an element the prosecution has proven each and every case when they charge a CSD in the first degree. In neither case was that proven, was that ascertained. We just have speculation, and to put those charges in front of a jury would simply be wrong, Your Honor. So we're actually to grant both motions to quash.
But I would just reiterate what he is already saying. I think in my case in particular, there's this emphasis on the word at. There's just no, it's not realistic to say that that's what at means. This comparison between at and over is really not what plain meaning tells us about the word at. At is very different from inside. All of what Mr. Riggins really just emphasized. So again, I would object that this should be dismissed today.
Right. Thank you. All right. Well, a motion to quash. There's two motions to quash filed by the defense. The court has to review the record for an abuse of discretion. It's already been pointed out. The abuse of discretion standard is a hyper. And the defense through their written and oral arguments today challenge the sufficiency of the evidence presented on the bind over of the respective counts of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree regarding the issue of penetration. The court has had an opportunity to listen to the respective arguments from the attorneys here today. I've also had an opportunity to review the lower court record and namely transcripts. And of course, the prosecution at the preliminary examination has the burden to show competent evidence that probable cause exists on each of the elements of the charging offenses. So here, looking at pertinent portions of the transcript, and I'll start with the case where he is the alleged complainant. There's two pertinent portions of that examination transcript, starting on page 15.
So the judge is finna read it. What the plaintiff said.
For answer to the question, he touched my private part where I used the bathroom. Question, okay, and when you use the bathroom, what comes out? Answer. Question, urine. Okay, tell me about the part. Tell me about what part touches you there. Answer, his hand. Question on the following page. Okay, what does his hand do when he touches you there? Answer, he rubs my private part with his hands. Question, okay, what's this? So when he's rubbing your private part with his hands, is this on the top part? Answer, the bottom. Question, the bottom part, okay? Answer, yes. Question, okay, and is that when where the pee comes out? Answer, Yes. With regard to the file where the alleged complainant is directing the attorney's attention to the pertinent portion of the testimony on this issue of penetration, page 83, line 14. This would be multiple paragraphs into her respective answer, reading, and you know how you like how somebody would play with you in your sleep, like you would feel them. And I think the pertinent part of this answer is relevant to this determination is the next three words. And again, it's like you would feel them, quote, in your ear, like this or something. He was doing that to my vagina when I woke up, and I was crying. Moving to the next page, page 84. My question, okay, where were you sleeping? The answer, I was sleeping in the bed with him. Question, you were sleeping in the bed with your dad? Answer, yes.
Okay.
Page 85, line 8.
Did you guys just hear that? The judge said you were sleeping in the bed with your dad. And the plaintiff said yes. So we do know that it is his child because he just said that. So people that wants to DM me and say that was not his child, SP. Yeah, it was. We just don't know which child, but it was his child. I know this man, sad to say, who penetrated his niece and have her STD at 4 years old. His brother tried to kill him. Oh. You know this man who penetrated his niece and have her and his. Same thing here. Same thing here. This child is now 13, so that would have to be Shannon's child. Well, it don't have to be Shannon's child. He could have another child that's the age of 13. That's what we were talking about yesterday. So therefore, we did just find out that it is his child. But it could be Shannon's child, but it don't have to be Shannon's child. But it could be. It could be. I'm just saying. We do know it is Jarvis' child because the judge said he just read, and you were sleeping with your dad, and she said yes.
Question, all right. When you wake up, you kind of wake up to feeling something. Answer, yes. And where do you feel something at? Answer, my vagina. Question, what is it that you feel at your vagina? Answer, I feel like somebody playing with me. Like, I don't know, like somebody like trying to touch you, but trying not to wake you up while touching you. Question, okay. If you know what part of him he is using to touch you, answer, he's using his hands. So sexual penetration is defined, that's defined under 75052-0AR, sexual intercourse, tunneling, fellatio, anal intercourse, or any other intrusion, however slight, of any part of a person's body or of any object into the genital or anal organs of another person's body. But admission is not required. And here, based upon my review of the lower court's record, testimony utilized making the final decision, I think based upon the testimony that I just read in the record verbatim, the examining judge did not use her discretion by over respective counts of criminal sexual conduct by any person. I think that there was sufficient evidence presented on each of the elements, specifically the elements of penetration of both files, to uphold the fine over, and attorneys were respectively denied the motion to quash.
He denied it, so that's good.
So attorneys, we have a couple of other issues to discuss. In defense, would you like to get into the discovery issue that noted earlier?
So one of the largest pieces of evidence is the CSLI that was used at the preliminary examination which the prosecutor posits puts Mr. Butts at the scene of where certain pieces of evidence were located.
And so we're clear, counsel, you are moving into the file ending in 218.
Yes, I apologize, thank you. Back on February the 6th, Mr. Riggins reached out to the people and alerted them that our expert to review opinionated the Cellbrite UFED, basically the underlying data that is pulled, not the report that is generated from Cellbrite.
What was the date that was put on notice?
February 6th.
February 6th.
Yes.
Okay, so 6 months ago.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we received a response back on the 14th from people saying that they would work on it and get back to us. We received another response on the 28th that they were looking for the files, essentially discussing that it's a huge amount of data that has to be transferred. And then we followed up, it was sometime later. And the next response I have is from May 28th, that there would be follow-up with the right person at DPD. They would get back to us. So we've been in communication with the people about this for this entire time. There's no surprise we've been asking for it. And the response has generally been either that the DPD has it and they're working on transferring it, or that it's taking a really long time to do because the data is so great. They have to basically go through three different, they take it from a hard drive onto another thing that can be transferred, put it on ours, and then they can send it to us. And as of this morning, we still don't have it. We are less than 2 months out now from trial, and given this is a huge amount of data, we have to have our expert look at it. We are very concerned that we don't have it yet.
Understood. So we do have trial set in that file. I've got it set for October 6th, so we're just north of 2 months by my hand. So Mr. Makepeace, did you wish to respond from the people's perspective? Why has this taken so long? Put on your notice 6 months ago.
Yes, Judge. No, and I'm not disputing the dates of the emails that Ms. Quick referenced and the responses. There was a period of time where we had because it is an unusual request for the underlying file. They do, for the record, are in receipt of the cell phone forensic extraction reports that are generated, which are files that are usually turned over. Those are UFDR files. This is the underlying file that comes with that or is generated and then put into a report. They have requested that on the dates and times. There was a period of time where I had to communicate with the OIC as well as the cell phone expert at DPD to figure out exactly what they were asking for. That did take some time, and then there was a period of time where I requested from the defense a hard drive that they provided to us for these to be uploaded onto. That hard drive, and I don't have the exact date in front of me, was turned over by Mr. Riggins to me. I transported that hard drive to the Detroit Police Department and provided that to the officer in charge of the case, as well as with the understanding that she and the cell phone expert would get together and get this uploaded. That's where I think the biggest delay comes from, is that there was a little bit of a miscommunication to them, between them, on our side of it, which is that one said it was done, one said that the other person did it, and nobody actually ended up doing it. When I went back to pick it up, it wasn't done. At that time, I brought the hard drive back to DPD and said, this needs to be done as quickly as possible. That was within the last month or so. The actual process for them to upload these or get the files onto the hard drive is to take it from a Blu-ray disc or a DVD onto a computer and then onto the hard drive itself. That does take some time, given that there are, I think, 15 or so phone dumps that they've requested these files for, and the amount of information is large. As of this morning, I spoke with the cell phone expert who is in the process of doing this. He states that it will be done middle of this week, Wednesday. And at which point I will myself go to DPD, gather the hard drive, and provide it directly to Mr. Riggins or Ms. Quick or Ms. Butler.
Okay, so you believe you will have it done by the 6th?
Yes.
Okay, which is exactly 2 months out from our trial date. All right, why don't we schedule an additional pre-trial date for all files, bring it in to hash out any potential trial issues, things of that nature. Also noting the people did file a notice of other acts. Which files did you
Judge, I filed that on all of the cases except for the newest one, because that one wasn't in the system yet. So yes, there should have been 4 filed as of last week.
Okay.
Would you intend to file an objection?
Yes, Sean.
All right. Very good. So why don't we schedule a date to hear that? Are you anticipating filing a notice in case Officer Ray comes today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Defense, how much time do you want to respond?
2 weeks.
Okay.
I apologize. Mr. Reagan is out of the office for one of those next 2 weeks. So if we get 3.
I'm going to come back on Friday, September 5th.
Judge, I'm off of that day. Back next Monday, though.
Is this something that certainly that you would be able to handle Mr. Rinky's absence? If not, I can find another date.
It is, Judge, but I'm going to be in a 2-defendant homicide trial that starts on the 2nd. And it's in Judge Cusick, so I anticipate it going on Friday.
Okay, understood. What if we come back on Friday, September 12th, mid-morning?
If we could come after my exam, that would be good for me.
The 12th is not a good day.
12th is not a good day.
I can do the 11th. That was good.
Certainly on the 11th.
I'm going to be in that 2-defendant homicide. It's in the 15th or the 16th. I know that's cutting close, starting to cut close. So.
What, Tuesday the 16th? Does that work for everyone's calendars?
Yep, that works.
Right. Okay. We'll come back Tuesday, September 16th to listen to argument on other acts. Notice that people have filed. Let's set that hearing at 10 a.m.
They said September the 16th.
Judge, no additional issues. As I would in any case, I would just place on the record an invitation for defense counsel to come to our office to go through both paper and digital files to make sure that there are no other surprises. Just place it on the record. Ms. Quinn, Mr. Riggins can communicate with me to set that up.
Absolutely. And as noted in chambers, when we set our October trial date, it was far off in the future. It was far off in the future of of course, the intent that all parties would make sure that they're doing everything possible to make sure that this case is trial ready for October the 6th. So, at this point, we've got a trial date, October 6th, and we'll see you for pre-trial date, again, Tuesday, September 6th at 10. Were there additional issues that you needed to address for today's record?
I don't believe so in there.
I thank you all for your time and patience today.
Yeah, sure.
Include our record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. He didn't talk to his attorney after all of that. He just stood up and walked out. Yeah. Jarvis just stood up and walked out the courtroom. The one thing that we learned about this that I got out of the whole situation, I don't know if you guys heard it, but the judge was insistent on making sure that they were going to be ready October the 6th for trial. Even though that one of the defense attorneys was like, I'm going to be in a homicide case on the 9th. I'll be ready on the 11th. And then they went to the 12th and the 13th. And so he said, does the 16th work for you? And then she's like, yeah. I mean, he went from the 5th to the 16th. I mean, that's like, wow, that's 11 days that you guys are, they're cutting it close. Like, I don't know why they're prolonging it, but the defense attorneys prolonged it. But the bad thing about it is they do got the information by now because they said it was going to be ready August the 6th. They were in court August the 4th. So they said, well, it's going to take some time. And then they turn around and say they can have it ready by Wednesday. Wednesday would have been the 6th. So they got the information. They got, and here's the thing, you guys, because I was thinking about this and I said, surely they wasn't talking about February the 6th, 2024, because they didn't have no information by then. So they must have been talking about February the 6th, 2025 when they asked for all 15 wiretaps, downloads, extracts from phones, and the data. I know you guys, we go over and over and over, but sometimes we get the information wrong, and we got to make sure what we're saying is exactly what they are saying instead of we're trying to guess. Or because I did read something where they had said something about court proceedings were going to go. It was another date on there. It was like somewhere in mid-October. And I was like, no, 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 no. That's not going to be the I can't remember what it was called. It was some court proceeding, like the final something. But it could be, but they was talking about the other case. They wasn't talking about this case because I'm like, they already had the last or the final conference court date. They already had that. No, what they were talking about was on the other case. And the reason why I believe that is because on this case here, on the Zaya case, it actually said when they were talking about the quash, they were saying that the conversation and the information we were getting out of that had nothing to do with the Naziah Harris case. Now, I don't know what you guys get out of that, but I'm still trying to process how in the world did they say that this had nothing to do with the Naziah Harris case. Do anybody got any kind of thought about that? I think, you guys are not hearing what I'm saying. Or maybe you guys are not understanding what I said. But I can say this, and I'm still standing on court will start October the 6th, which some people are like, we don't know when. Yeah, we do know when. October the 6th. That's when. Nobody said anything different. No one has said anything different at all. Thank you, Freddie. So let me see. It says, so what they said was the Naziah Harris murder suspect, Jarvis Butts, due in court for a separate sex assault case. So In a separate case, Butt is scheduled for an October trial in the death of Harris. So what I said the other day, I stand on that he is still charged with the murder of Naziah. And so there is a charge of M. And they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. But it's okay. There's a lot of people in Detroit that is charged with human trafficking and the disappearance of little girls there. It's really sad. You know, a trial date of October the 6th was set in court. Yep. Butts has faced charge of first degree premeditated M, second degree criminal S conduct, and child S abuse. So yeah. The preliminary exam for Jarvis, the man accused for kidnapping, and if they I don't know if they're going to get kidnapping out the situation since she wanted to meet with him, but So Kenworthy said evidence shows that Butts, who knew Harris' family member, allegedly groomed the girl starting in 2022. Harris was pregnant when she was killed, and Butts was allegedly the unborn child's father. The prosecutor's office provided a rough timeline. Naziah took the bus to school. She had her hair in two braided puffballs, clear frame glasses, a white sweater with a black jacket over it, a colorful rug wrap puffy jacket with a fur-lined hood with light blue jeans and Nike shoes. There's a video of Naziah getting on the bus. Naziah used a issue tablet that she used to communicate with an app. She took one last picture of herself on the tablet. Using her tablet, she sent a message to a device associated with Butts, indicating that they would meet up after she got out of school that day. There's video of her getting out of school at the end of the day in the same clothes. She met up with Butts and a co-worker and goes back to their auto repair shop on Connor in Detroit. Naziah is seen by Butts' sister at the shop. Butts, the co-worker, and Naziah were together in the co-worker's car when they went to Ypsilanti and then returned to the shop on Connor. Butts' phone places him at these locations. At 9:30 p.m. to 12:20 p.m., Butts checked into a motel. There's a receipt confirming this, as well as his phone placing him at that location. Naziah is never seen again after January the 9th. Other charges against Butts. Butts has also been charged with sexual abuse to other children who were under 13 at the time. Kenworthy said one of the victims, who is now 20, was allegedly abused between April 2012 and April the 14th, while the other victim, who is now 11, was abused from July 2015 until July 2017. That's 2 years. He has been charged with 5 counts of second-degree sexual conduct and 1 count of first-degree criminal sexual conduct for those assaults. Court records show that Butts also previously served time in prison for sexually assaulting a child in 2004. Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. Worthy said he was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile. He was bound over for trial in those 2 cases last November. What's next? Before his trial began, Butt is due in court for a final conference. That's what it was called, you guys, a final conference. A final conference on June the 20th. See, that's what I was saying. He had a final conference already, June the 20th. So this judge gave him a final conference again, and I was like, well, the final conference they've already did the final conference. That's what it was called, the final conference. But they were talking about the final conference on the other case, because he's already did the final conference on the Naziah Harris case. So they're looking at doing a final conference in, I think, in October for the other case. That was for Naziah. This was for the other. Yes, Sylvia. Yes, you're right. So, I really can't wait till all of this stuff gets going. The whole entire time they do a final conference for each case. Yes. No, I was confused. I didn't speak on it or anything. It just kind of was like, what are they talking about final conference? They already did a final conference. So I had to figure out, like, okay, are they, I don't know what they were doing, but I had to look it up to find out they were talking about the final conference on the other case. Because it just seems to me when he's getting ready to go to trial on the Naziah case come October the 6th, that they would wait until his trial was over to either have the final conference before he goes to trial for the Naziah Harris case, or not. He's in trial on the Naziah Harris case, and they schedule him a final conference, unless they thinking that come October the 15th, court's going to be done. They said it's going to be at least 2 weeks. His case is going to go for at least 2 weeks. You guys, I really it's August right now, and I kind of really want to be there. You know what I mean? I don't know if I could be there. But, it would be nice to, make it there for maybe 2 or 3 days or something like that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I don't know my way around Detroit. I've only been there like twice in my life, and both times I was chaperoned by people. That's where I got to meet and talk to and greet and smile at Jesse Jackson. And your girl, y'all know you know Jesse, Jesse was, you know, smiling at me. Jarvis should be a pinata. You guys, a person is innocent until proven guilty. They're innocent until proven guilty. So do I sometimes think he's just in jail. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. And I have to always think like that because I don't know. And people are like, what do you mean you don't know? Well, you know, sometimes, you know, if I take agency work or I will go work for the jail, you can't look at people because they're in jail as being guilty because they're in jail. Um, some people are, some people are not. But, um, you know, and if they don't appeal things like in this case, it can be a mistrial. And if they don't appeal things like in this case, well, I think they appealing everything that they will, they will appeal everything that they possibly can. But just the other day, and I think it was yesterday because we came on because we didn't come on Monday, that somebody was in here and they were saying that King was charged with murder. And I was like, where do you get that from? Like, and then somebody was like, he was, and they took it off or whatever. And I was like, okay, I've never seen it, never heard of it. And then it was like, yeah, Roxy said it. Well, I just, and I know people get mad because, I don't take what they say and be like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. It could have. I don't catch everything, but I haven't seen nothing like that. Now every time when the whole entire time King was in jail, oh yeah, I made a couple of calls up there to see where he was at and what was going on and what was he charged with and all this other stuff. And and I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm just gonna keep it real. And I'm just being honest. I am a very nosy person. So I don't just go on the internet and hear somebody's commentary and then believe what is said. Um, that's not me. Okay. What I will tell you is I do make those phone calls and I make them and I'll make them until I get the answer, you know. And I mean, I have other people making phone calls also, and they will come back and relay to me what they found out or what they got or what's going on. But the thing about Roxy is, and I love her, I do think she's a pretty girl. That's first of all. And, I've seen her out there when I didn't see nobody else. I got nothing to say negative about Roxy. But one thing that I seen, I mean, that I couldn't understand, but, I'm with it. And that was when they were out at some park, and I think they were at Frogs Park or Frogs Lake or whatever it was in Ypsilanti. And they had found this device, an ankle bracelet or something, somehow, some way, out of the blue or whatever. And I kind of was like, okay, you know. But other than that, you know, and I believe the girl got everybody still interested in the Naziah Harris case. If that's why they did it, fine. If they didn't do it and she actually did find an ankle bracelet, I mean, it's one in a million, but and to be at the park to find one or something like that, or I don't know. But anyway, nevertheless, you guys, so just because somebody says something and you say, well, Roxy said such and such, okay, get mad at me because you brought it up and I didn't take heed to it. You can get mad. I don't get mad when you guys don't take my advice. I don't get mad at you because you don't take it. You don't take it, you don't take it. It's just at the end of the day, the ones that don't take it, they have to come back and then they get mad and then they leave because they do come back and say, well, I'm sorry. I thought this or I thought that. Don't get mad. Just get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, people always come to me with information. I'm going to tell you one person that does it more than any of y'all, and that would be Woke to God. And we think totally different. I believe sometimes she gets really hot and heated at me. I don't worry about her getting hot and heated at me. You know why? Because I have to live my life and she has to live hers. Maybe what's good for her may not be good for me. Or maybe I don't want to listen at that particular time and I want to keep going the route I go. But trust and believe what she tells me is always in my mind. She would not be a good friend if she didn't warn me or tell me. But she knows she's a grown woman and I'm a grown woman. I'm going to make the decision for myself that if it's got to do with me, I'm going to make that decision for myself. I don't get mad when she doesn't take my advice. You get what I'm saying? Because we're all grown. Now, she might come back later on and say, I tried to tell you, hard head something. And I'd be like, yeah. And I tell her the same thing. Well, I told you. Well, I wasn't listening because of such and such. Because there's always going to be a reason why you go with what you go. You go with what you know because you might have experienced something or you've seen something or you know something or somebody told you something. Or it might even be just your spirit or something. You guys understand what I'm saying? Aha! I'm going to go with my spirit. And like we look back, like I'm going to tell you guys something. And this is true. And she's in here. So you guys say hi to Woke to God. She's in the building. And she'll tell you this is true. I was trying to get me an MRI. And these people say, okay, you can go to this place. It was $600. But I remember they did an MRI on me previously. And I wasn't really key in on them doing it again because I felt like they wasn't knowledgeable enough. And it was kind of just like running people in, taking pictures, saying you don't have anything or you do that. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what they're looking at, or the pictures was like, I don't know. I didn't get to see anything. So anyway, nevertheless, I didn't want to go. Zan and I, we talked about it. And she was like, why not? It's just a picture. Da, 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 da. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. It's almost like Dollar Tree and it's the, and Dillon's or whatever. And then, so the other place that I wanted to go to, it was $1,000. And I wanted to go there. But they wanted to do it down the road. So finally I caved in and I was like, okay, I'll go to the place that's $600. So the day before the MRI was supposed to be done, they call me and tell me, well, we can't see you unless you got a doctor slip saying that we can do the MRI and da 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 da. Well, shoot, it takes a whole month to even get an appointment. Why are you calling me the day prior to the MRI? So that just tells me like you're inadequate. You put me in a bad situation. I needed this yesterday. And you're telling me today, the day before the MRI, you won't be able to do it. And we have to make another appointment. I ain't got time for y'all. That's why I didn't want to deal with y'all. See what I'm saying? So then I just wait for the appointment in August the 6th. And then I get there at this appointment. I'm on the table to the place I wanted to go, which was $300, $400 more. And I'm thinking everything's fine. And I'm in there. I'm on the table. I'm in the MRI machine, you guys. I'm in the machine. They dragged me out the machine and was like, we can't do this. We'll stop everything now. We're done. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? We need a doctor's permission. You should have had that before I came. Now I done waited a whole nother month to the people I wanted to do it, pay you an extra $400 and get it done. And you guys are like, get up, get out of here, basically, treated me really bad. So I walks out of there. Call my doctor, tell her what happened. Da-da-da-da-da. She tells me, go back to the place. I say, no, I will never go back to that place. So they send me to another place. I get there. Everything's fine. $2,400 later, that's my bill. They find nothing. So what did we learn out of that? I could have spent $600, learned nothing. Could have spent $1,000, learned nothing. End up spending $2,400 and learned nothing. They find nothing. But I will tell you, I believe that the people that did my MRI last was skilled enough, experienced enough that I felt like if they didn't find anything, there was nothing to find. I believe that these people were just saying something to me, like if I would have went to those other places, I would have felt like if they would have said, we're not finding anything. We're just, and I'm not saying that there's nothing to find. I thank God that they found nothing. Trust and believe. I thank God they didn't find anything wrong. But it has to be something wrong because I have these headaches. So it may be very still too small for them to see it or whatever. But I felt like I said, I have to live with the decision I just made. This is my life. So I don't want no poop butt just because it was cheap to tell me something, which it would have been in my best interest because I don't have like $2,400 to hand somebody. I could have handed them $600 and called it a good day. But this is not a bike or a car or things of that nature. This is my life. And if you treat me like crap before I even give you my money, no, I'm not going to believe nothing you say, like I just can't. I just won't. Like if you treat me bad, and it may not be a lot of money to you guys, but it is to me. Like I said, like, and Woke the God gave me a lot of input on what to do. She wasn't she was a little upset with me, but she understands that, we're going to think differently. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I got to pay that $2,400 now. And I sit back and I say, well, dang, I should have listened to her and I should have went to this place that only charged me $600. Yeah. But then I'm thinking also too, They couldn't have told me, oh, we don't find anything. And I would have been accepted to you didn't find anything. Because I'm going to tell you something, you guys. And I'm just saying, like your spirit don't dwell well with something. I don't care. If your spirit don't dwell well with a place or a business or something, you go with your spirit. Yes, a lot of money. And trust and believe, I be sitting there going, dang, they finna, I don't know how I'm going to pay this $2,400. I just don't. I don't. But, like I said, had the first place A say, oh, we didn't find none, I would have been like, I'm going to the hospital and get a real MRI, because these people don't know what they looking at. They don't know how to read one. You know what I'm saying? Because they just running people in. And maybe I should have, and that's why my doctor sent me there, because she's like, well, she's got to pay out of pocket, so let her go and get the same thing she gonna get over there. But I didn't know, I don't know them like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know them like that. Like, I know one time I went, then they turned around and then lied on me and said, we didn't do an MRI, we did a CT. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You did an MRI. And they was like, no, you didn't. And then when I go to another place, they tell the other place to don't see me. That's why they took me off the table. So, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes people be like trying to block you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't come to us, we're going to tell them something bad, like, you was a problem patient, or you didn't want to listen, or there's going to be a lawsuit or whatever. I have no clue. But I guess when the place called them and said, you guys did an MRI on her, that they was like, and we told her to get off the table, and they refused. Y'all didn't. Whatever. But nevertheless, I tell you what, we still got her done. But I'm gonna say this. So when people give you advice, it's never a bad thing. You may take it and you may not. A real friend, like say for instance, Freddie or Tina, I may say something, you take the advice, or you don't take the advice. We'll wait and see what happens later on. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to have to live with your choice. You can't come back and say, well, SP said, I just gave you advice. Whether you take it or not, it's okay. You guys understand what I'm saying? You're going to have to live with the results. And the reason why I was explaining that to you guys is because in the Naziah Harris case, and this is not apples and oranges. In the Naziah Harris case, I can't accept sometimes what people say to me about the Naziah Harris case, because I'm going to tell you something, and it's going to be true. And I know there's going to be people get mad. The things that they're finding is already stuff we know. Come on. You ain't got to tell me, because I've done heard it. They going around finding Najeen, calling Najeen and saying, hey, that's Naziah, and ain't no grown woman talking like that, and blah, 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 blah. And she call herself a 34-year-old woman, and she talks like a baby, and blah, 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 blah. And other people's like, oh, hold on. Nope. That is Najee, because another YouTuber already spoke to her in March. Who do you think that is? Your one and only. See, because you can't come and tell me that's Naziah. Because guess what? When I first heard her voice, I thought it was the same thing. Do I get mad because they thought it was? No. I started calling people. I think I called Sanja Watts. I called Freddie. I think I called Woke the God. I think I called Tina. And I said, hey, something strange about this call. You know, I done talked to this girl, but this girl sounds like a little child. It doesn't sound like a grown woman. We're going to try to call her again. And then I didn't even think she was going to answer again, but she did. But that's what I'm hearing. And they have a full conversation, full interviews and everything about something we already done discovered, talked about 2-3 months ago. Had we not, you guys would be sitting thinking that Najee is Naziah. Because when I let y'all hear the conversation, that's what y'all was saying. SP, that's a kid. That ain't no grown woman. That's a kid. No, y'all. That is not. That is a grown woman. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. Now that we're talking about Najee, see, we find things quickly because we were already on it. You guys said, go on ahead and dig. Go on ahead and dig and dig, SP. Go on ahead and dig. And I started digging. Started finding the son and finding how many kids and where the kids are at and what they're doing. And people was talking about, oh, she got a son. Annette got a son that's a police officer. No, he's not. Stop it. He's a security guard. He even gonna say he's a police officer. Shut up. Get out of here. You know? So when people try to tell me something, you know, especially when we know, you know, we know. But when we don't know, you know, it's up to you what you want to believe or not believe or something, you know. You know, we don't come on here to argue or, you know, we come on here to air out what we know, and then, you know, because, you know, just because you get information and you know information, that don't mean you're going to think everything out. But when you got 20, 30, 40, 50 people that hear what you hear, ask the questions. SP, ask them this, and I will. Then we can all come up with the equation. So then when somebody say, oh no, that was Naziah on the phone, you can say, no, it's not. Because we've done already worked that out. That is Najee. And Najee will be in that courtroom too. Did you guys hear what I just said? And I told you that. I tried to tell Najee that. Matter of fact, let's see if we can call her again. Let's try to call her. See if she got me blocked. There's her number. Just pop right on up. Let's call her. Let's see.
Please leave your message for...
Well, she didn't answer. She did not answer. Bryn said SP is funny. I'm funny. Wait till my husband walk through this door. And I'm going to call her again. Mm-hmm. She really can't tell us nothing. She loves Jarvis. She loved Jarvis. That girl loves some Jarvis. I tried to tell y'all. Freddie said she may be listening. Yeah, probably so. She love. You know what? You know what's so bad about the whole situation, and and like I was just telling y'all about this Daryl Erring. He was convicted of murder, and he went and appealed and appealed and appealed so many times. Guess what? They finally let him go. He walked out of the jail after 14 years. He walked out because they found out one of the jurors were Googling gang member when the trial was going. Things happen, you guys. Things happen all the time. Anyway, you know what was so weird about the whole situation? Hey, junior school needs a note stating that we live with you and a photo of your ID and a building your name with your address for him to start school. I can send you the email or you can drop it off. No bail, no nothing for him. Jarvis not going nowhere. No, he's not. He's not. He's not going to go anywhere. Junior picked. he been really nasty to females. Yes, he has. Um, yes, exactly. Um, let's see here, you guys. Um, I'm looking to see if there's anything new. Um, so Court TV is actually um talking about the Naziah Harris case. That makes me feel good. Did you guys hear what I said? Put it in the chat. Hold on. Hold on. You guys, stop the press. Hold on. I got somebody at the door. Hold on. So I'm gonna order them tonight. You're welcome. Okay. All right. You're welcome. Okay. She said, we know it's not the boogeyman. No. Oh, I just found something, you guys. I just found something. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You guys. See, this is why I love coming on here. Man. Let me see. Oh my God. Oh my God. She said we're ready. She said, oh. Drop the nugget. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Is Zan in the building? Is Zan in the building? Here, I gotta call Zan. I gotta call my friend. Zan, I'm calling you on my other phone. I'm calling you. Y'all, I'm telling you, I be putting stuff on radar. I am not playing. I am not playing here. Zan, I ain't called you on this phone in so long. We had to get Pooh Bear up out of here. Zan, where you at? Oh, my phone won't call you. My phone will not call you. Call me, Zan. Call me. Oh, Lord. Okay, y'all ready? Hey, you there?
Yeah, you know when I'm not talking in the comments in the chat, it's because I'm writing. What's up? What's going on?
Okay, listen to this. Jarvis Butts has been charged in the 2013 Allen Park sexual assault.
What?
Ha! Yes! Did you hear me? Jarvis Butts is charged in the 2013 Allen Park sexual assault. Okay? They did this July the 1st, 2025. So Kim Worthy has charged Jarvis Roman Butts, 42, of Detroit, in connection with the sexual assault of a then 12-year-old girl of New Boston, who is now 24 years old, in the spring of 2013 at a residence in the 6700 block of Lamar Avenue in Allen Park, it is alleged that the defendant Butts sexually assaulted the then 12-year-old victim. More complete facts and evidence will be placed on the record in court at the preliminary examination. Jarvis Romaine Butts has been charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct and third-degree criminal sexual conduct person 13. He was arraigned on June the 30th, the 24th District Court, and given a $1 million bond. The probable cause conference is scheduled for July the 7th. They already did it at 9 a.m. before the judge. Please request a photo of the defendant from the Allen Park Police Department. The charges are allegations, and the defendant are presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is that the 20-year-old?
This is a 20. This is another one. This is, you remember they had somebody at the park that was raping people and stuff down there. This is a 24-year-old.
Oh man.
She was she was 12 then, she's 24 now. Yep. Allen Park. So when we were thinking that was his 20-year-old daughter, no, it's not. It was a girl that was at the park.
Well, no, we don't know. I thought you said it wasn't even one of them. That you just said it was a new charge.
Yeah, because wasn't that girl 20?
Right.
No, they did this July the 1st.
Okay.
They just charged this July the 1st. He is in connection with the sexual assault of then a 12-year-old girl.
That's the third charge.
Huh?
That's going to be a third charge then, in addition to the M charge with Naziah, the charge of the 4-year-old, the then 4-year-old, the charge of the now 20-year-old, and now another charge of a then 12-year-old who's 24 or something now?
Yes, she's 24, who is now 24 years old.
So, well, he definitely needs to be taken off the street.
Yeah. I'll read it again. Prosecutor Ken Worthy has charged Jarvis of Detroit in connection with the sexual assault of a then 12-year-old girl of New Boston who is now 24 in the spring of 2013 at a residence in the 6700 block of Lamar Avenue in Allen Park. He did it in Allen Park. It is alleged that defendant Butts sexually assaulted the then 12-year-old victim. More complete facts and evidence will be placed on the record in court at the preliminary exam. And see, they haven't done that preliminary. See what I'm saying? And we missed it. Jarvis Ramon has been charged with first degree.
Yeah, he missed that one.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
How did I find it?
Yeah.
Well, I got my spots where I go and I look for anything new.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying because I didn't realize you were looking for anything.
I wasn't, but we was on here just talking, and we were just talking about Jarvis and how, then we started talking about how, the person came in here the other day and was like, King was charged with murder, and I was like,
right. I've been in here. I just haven't been like in the chat. You know what I'm doing, so.
Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to wonder, is this, they arraigned him on June the 30th.
So did
we missed that.
You got arraignment or anything?
Huh?
We missed that completely, huh?
We missed it. We missed it because we missed it.
Well, everybody must have missed it because I haven't seen anybody talk about that.
Right. And you know, we know it's the Jarvis that we're talking about because Jarvis is 42. His name is Jarvis Roman Butts. This is what it says, though. Yeah. And it was published July the 1st. So, yeah. We didn't know nothing about this. It says in Allen Park. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna keep that to my favorite page. Allen Park rapist. Okay, hold on. So it says for a young child helps a 13-year-old girl escape registered sex offender. Michael Hugh was before a judge today charged with raping a 13-year-old girl in Allen Park the same day police say he raped two elderly sisters. Okay, hold on. So, God, what are they doing? What the heck is going on? Suspect in rape, torture of elderly women charged in sex assault of 13-year-old and Allen Park girl. So, hold on. And Kim Worthy was the prosecutor. Suspect in rape, torture of elderly women charged in sexual assault. So they said they had got Michael Hugh. Now they're saying his name is Michael Calm. He's 54 of course with sexual assault a 13-year-old girl. That was 2 years ago. A Dearborn rape and torture suspect is facing new charges for a similar attack in Allen Park of a teen victim. Man accused of sexually assaulting Allen Park teen. Young child helps a 13-year-old girl escape registered sex offender. Men in custody in Allen Park rape case. For a second man in connection. Okay. Dearborn police have one suspect in custody and are searching for a second man in connection to the abduction and rape of a woman in Allen. Let me see this one. I can't hear it. That was 7 years ago. So what are they doing? What are they doing?
Maybe they are, now that they have him in custody and they've taken a DNA sample from him, maybe they're running him through cold case files.
Right.
I'm not saying that's how they found that case. I'm just saying that it could be.
Oh my God. Okay. Metro Detroit serious rapist pleads guilty in all 9 cases against him. 32-year-old Igor Nordo Smith, officials say, came 4 days into his trial for crimes in Garden City, Redford Township. I'm trying to read this. To all charges in 9 cases, the unexpected move by 32-year-old came 4 days into his trial for crimes in Garden City, Redford Township, and Inkster Monday before Judge Dalton Robinson in Wayne County. According to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, there was no plea deal or sentence agreement. The Redford Township resident charged with rape, home invasion, and torture and attacks in Allen Park, Dearborn Heights, Garden City, Redford Township, and Inkster was suspected in as many as 35 home invasions and rapes in multiple Detroit communities going back as far as 2011. According to court records, Smith that same month broke into a family's home in Garden City and raped a woman who was sleeping in her living room. Surveillance video showing a suspect the backyard of a Lavina home helped name him as a person of interest. And when Smith was arrested last September, DNA evidence from the Dearborn case linked him in the other case. At the time, Dearborn Police Chief applauded efforts by a multi-task included Michigan State Police and FBI, which he said result in a very dangerous predator being taken off the streets. An FBI behavior scientist had labeled the suspect in these cases a power reassurance rapist, referring that had it said there's no more power he holds over the police people. I can assure you he'll be in jail for a long time. Smith remains held without bond. Sentence is set for Thursday, May the 24th. But how did they link him to that if they got these other people also?
I'm saying they could have been running DNA through cold cases, and now that his has been added to the file, maybe that's how they linked him to that case.
Girl, we be finding stuff out, don't we?
Yeah, you be finding stuff out.
Girl, I be nosy.
If it works. Whatever the reason, as long as it works, that's all that matters.
I be nosy. I just be nosy. Girl, can you believe that?
Yeah, that's definitely something different. And I can't believe nobody picked up on that.
Well, we normally be the first one, and then they'll go and then they be like, oh, we don't know. Which I don't, hey, just, my God. That's crazy. Girl, I seen that. And you know what's so weird about the whole situation? The minute I seen it, I couldn't believe what I had just seen. You know what I'm saying? And then Pooh Bear's mom came to the door. So I was like, let me go and get her out of here, And then let me just because you know I called Najeen again and she didn't answer. So
Right.
anyway, man, so you thinking that they done got his DNA and they're putting some the people. So you think all these rapists is around that park?
I don't know if they're around the park, but Detroit is different from a lot of cities because you can just like all their suburbs are like you don't even know when you from one town to another.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's possible, or it's also a place that a lot of people frequent.
Yeah.
Allen Park is like a hangout spot.
Girl, I gotta read this thing again. I'm just I'm just thinking to myself, this just cannot be. Jarvis Butts. Okay. Prosecutor Kim Worthy has charged Jarvis Roman Butts, 42 of Detroit, in connection with the sexual assault of a then 12-year-old girl of New Boston who is now 24 years old. So he had got out of hand. You know what I'm saying? So he did get out of hand. He had to. But they said in the spring of 2013, it says at a residence in the 6700 block of Laramie Avenue in Allen Park. In Allen Park. It is lit.
Unless another lady that he was dating came, maybe her child is just coming forward.
Yeah. Huh.
Because at first I thought you said at Allen Park.
It says in. It says in. It says in right, Allen Park. Huh?
That's a suburb.
What, Allen Park?
Not like a park that people hang out at. That's where township. So that's probably somebody else he was seeing or dating whose child done came forward.
Oh, you're saying the Allen Park is not a park?
There is a park named Allen Park, but it's not saying at, it's saying in. So there's also a city named Allen Park. So I'm thinking that was at somebody's home in Allen Park.
Okay, I follow you. I follow you. But then they've got all these other people too that got sexual assault in Allen Park too. So that could be a resident.
It could be a resident, or it could be in, or it could be at the front. But the way, like it gave you almost a whole address for Jarvis. So that's what makes me think they're talking about the township and not the park.
Hmm. You could be right. You could be right. Because, I own some property and they call that property um, um, in that area. They call it a park. They call it it's close to downtown, and they call it starts with a D, like Del Rose or Del Monte or something, and they call it Del Monte Park. But the house is it's a house. Well, it's not a house, but you know what I'm saying. That's the area.
Oh, okay.
Decento or Decino. They call it Decino Park. But you know, yeah, you're right. You're right. It could be. It says the assault of a then 12-year-old girl of New Boston.
See, I don't know what New Boston is.
I'm writing this down. New Boston. And the child was 12 at the time. It is alleged that the defendant Butts sexually assaulted the then 12-year-old victim. Now, I think when they say, I think that this was not just, I think this was the full deal. You know what I'm saying?
What?
I don't think that this is going to be, where he just touched me or, he rubbed me. I think that this is probably going to be the full deal. But in this daughter, what? 2024 or something?
I'm not sure.
So both of these are his kids?
I don't know, because now we're talking about 3 different kids.
Let me see here. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, there's more information. Let me read it. Kenworthy has charged Jarvis, 42, of Detroit in connection with the assault of a 12-year-old girl of New Boston who is now 24 in the spring of 2013 at the residence 6700 block of Lamie Avenue in Allen Park. It is alleged that defendant Butts sexually assaulted the then 12-year-old. More complete fact. It's just saying the same thing that they were saying. Please request a photo of the defendant. Yeah, they did this July the 1st, 2025. They just did this July the 1st, 2025. That's crazy because he was already charged with the other ones, right?
I believe so, SP. I'm not 100%. But
I believe so too. I believe he was already charged because that was back in like January. But maybe they're charging him with a. Okay, let me see. Boy, Kim Worthy is not playing, is she? It's a press release out there. She is not playing. So, okay. That was crazy. Well, hmm. Mm. So let me read this because this is probably her right here. Jarvis Butts faces 2 charges in connection 2013 sexual assault cases. Unrelated sexual assault charges to the Naziah Harris. Yeah. The Detroit man accused of such Jarvis was charged with the sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl in 2013. Butts allegedly sexually assaulted the victim at a home in Allen Park. Yeah, okay. Just like what you said. He was charged with first degree, the third degree. He is expected to appear in court July the 28th for the preliminary. During the hearing, a judge will determine if there's enough evidence presented by the prosecutor's office for trial. He is also headed to trial for allegedly sexually assaulting and murder of Naziah Harris, 13, who appeared in January 2024. Wow, but so now I think that this is that girl, the because they're showing him in court.
Okay. So SP, call me after the live.
Alrighty.
All right, sweetheart.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, you guys. I think that this is just a little bit more detailed. Hold on. I think this is just a little bit more detail of the two that is charged. The one that we were talking about where the girl said that he touched her, and then the other girl, which is now 24. Let me see. Hmm. Okay. Okay, you guys. I'm gonna get off of here, and that might be just a little bit more. I done got all worked up. I was like, what the heck? Ooh, let me see here. This man just doing way too much. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna get off here. I will be watching and looking for stuff. And if I find anything, you guys know, I'll let you guys know. Alrighty. Bye.